Hey everyone, I'm Sarah. Where do I even begin? I guess it all started during my senior year of high school. I was always the straightest student, honor roll, the whole package. But more than the grades, I had dreams. Big ones. My dad and I used to talk about them for hours. Sarah, he'd say with that familiar twinkle in his eye, you're going to change the world one day. I just know it. I miss him. Every day, he was my rock, my biggest cheerleader. We'd sit on the porch swing after dinner, and he'd listen, really listen. When I talked about becoming a marine biologist, he even bought me my first microscope the day after I told him. But then, he got sick. It all happened so fast. One minute he was there, strong, vibrant, and the next, he was gone. Just like that. My world shattered. Mom took it hard, as you'd imagine. It felt like we were living with a ghost. The house, once full of warmth, became cold and empty. I tried to hold things together, but I was drowning too. That's when Richard came into the picture. Mom met him at a support group for widows and widowers. At first, I was happy for her. She was smiling again, laughing even. But then things started to change. 6 months into their relationship, Richard moved in. From day one, he tried to take over as the man of the house, as if he could erase every trace of my dad. Your father's not here anymore, he'd say when I mentioned a memory or tradition. Things are different now. You need to accept that. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. Dad may have been gone, but he was still a part of me. Richard just didn't get that. Over time, Richard's behavior became more controlling. He criticized everything, my clothes, my friends, even my love for science. Why waste time with those books? You should learn something useful, like cooking or cleaning, he'd snap. It was suffocating. I felt like I was walking on eggshells in my own home. Mom noticed, but she never said anything. Maybe she was afraid of being alone again. I don't know. But I threw myself into my studies. It was the one thing Richard couldn't take from me. I joined every academic club, stayed late at school, anything to avoid going home. By senior year, I had a 4.0 GPA and was captain of the debate team. My guidance counselor, Miss Thompson, was thrilled. Sarah, she said, with your grades and extracurriculars, you can get into any college you want. I had been dreaming about that moment for years. With her help, I applied to 5 top marine biology programs across the country. Then the acceptance letters started pouring in. I couldn't believe it, full rides to 3 schools. For the first time since Dad died, I felt like things were finally looking up. I couldn't wait to tell Mom. I rushed home, letters in hand, bursting through the door. Mom, you won't believe it. I got in everywhere. But it wasn't Mom who came into the hallway. It was Richard. What's all this noise? He demanded, snatching the letters from me before I could stop him. I watched in horror as his face twisted in anger. College? You think you're going to college? He sneered. You're not smart enough for that. Then, before I could react, he tore the letters into pieces. As they fell to the floor, so did my heart. There, he said coldly, now you can focus on more important things, like helping your mother around the house. He walked away, leaving me standing in the ruins of my future. But something in me snapped. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next day, I cornered my best friend, Mia. I need your help, I whispered. I'm reapplying to colleges, but Richard can't know. Without hesitation, she agreed. We came up with a plan. Mia would let me use her address for all college correspondence. After school, we'd go to the library to work on applications. To Richard, I was just studying with a friend. As time passed, Richard's suspicions grew. You're spending a lot of time at the library, he said one evening, narrowing his eyes. I shrugged it off. Senior year. Lots of homework, I lied. He wasn't convinced, but he let it slide. To fund my secret plan, I picked up a part-time job at a local cafe. It was exhausting, balancing work and school, but it was worth it. Why do you need a job? Richard asked. We provide everything you need. I want to save for a car, I lied smoothly. That seemed to satisfy him, as if I was planning to stick around after graduation. Miss Thompson became my strongest ally, staying late to help with my applications and writing glowing recommendations. You're one of the brightest students I've ever had, she said. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Then the acceptance letters started arriving at Mia's house. Full rides to 3 top marine biology programs. But I had to keep it hidden, for now. One evening, I overheard Richard talking to Mom in the kitchen. I pressed myself against the wall, straining to listen. Sarah's college fund, Richard was saying. We should use it for my new business venture. It's not like she'll need it anyway. My blood ran cold. They were planning to take my future away again. But this time, I was ready. This time, I had a plan. With graduation approaching, Mia, Ms. Thompson, and I kicked our plans into high gear. I decided on Coastal University, renowned for its marine biology program. I've arranged for your scholarship and financial aid packages, Ms. Thompson explained. You'll have everything you need. But as the day got closer, doubt crept in. Could I really leave Mom behind with Richard? She's an adult, Sarah, Mia reminded me gently. You can't put your life on hold forever. I knew she was right, but it didn't make it any easier. The night before I was set to leave, disaster struck. Richard barged into my room, waving a letter he'd intercepted from Coastal University. What is this? He roared. You think you can go behind my back? I stood my ground, heart pounding. Yes, I can. And I did. I'm going to college, Richard. You can't stop me. His face turned a deep shade of purple. Like hell I can't, you ungrateful little. That's enough. A voice interrupted. We both turned to see Mom standing in the doorway, her face pale but determined. Sarah, she said softly, is this true? You got into college. I nodded, tears welling up. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I was afraid. Don't you dare apologize. Mom cut me off, turning to Richard. I've stood by and watched you bully my daughter for too long. No more. Sarah is going to college, and that's final. Richard sputtered, but Mom raised her hand. And if you have a problem with that, you can pack your bags and leave. In that moment, I saw my mom as I remembered her before Dad died. Strong, fierce, and protective. The next morning, Mom helped me load my bags into the car. Richard was nowhere to be seen. I'm so proud of you, Mom said, hugging me tight. And I'm so sorry I didn't stand up for you sooner. But that's going to change. I promise. As I drove away, watching Mom wave in the rearview mirror, I felt a bittersweet mix of sadness and hope. This wasn't an ending, it was a new beginning. 4 years passed in a blur of classes, research, and new experiences. Before I knew it, I was standing on stage, delivering the valedictorian speech at my college graduation. And so, as we step into the future, I concluded, let's remember that our greatest strength lies not just in what we know, but in our ability to persevere in the face of adversity. Applause filled the auditorium, and I caught sight of Mom in the audience, beaming with pride. She had kept her promise, divorcing Richard and rebuilding her life. Over the past 4 years, we had grown closer than ever. After the ceremony, I was approached by Dr. Olson, a renowned marine biologist. Impressive speech, Sarah, she said. How would you like to join our research team at the Pacific Marine Research Center? I could hardly believe it. It was my dream job. I'd be honored, I managed, trying to contain my excitement. That night, as Mom and I celebrated over dinner, she filled me in on the latest news from home. Richard's business venture failed spectacularly, she told me. Last I heard, he was facing fraud charges. I felt a twinge of satisfaction, quickly followed by guilt. I shouldn't be happy about that, I mumbled. Mom reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You're allowed to feel however you feel, sweetie. What matters is how you act on those feelings. A few weeks later, as I was settling into my new job and apartment, I received an unexpected call. It was Richard. Sarah, he said, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant. I owe you an apology. I was wrong about you. About everything. I remained silent, unsure how to respond. I've made some mistakes, he continued. Big ones. I was hoping, maybe you could help me get back on my feet, for old time's sake. For a moment, I was tempted. Isn't that what good people do? Forgive and help those who've wronged them. But then I remembered all the nights I cried myself to sleep, all the times he'd made me feel worthless. I'm sorry, Richard, I said firmly, but I can't help you. I wish you the best, but our relationship is over. Please don't contact me again. I hung up, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. It wasn't about revenge or holding a grudge. It was about protecting my peace and a life I had worked so hard to build. 6 months later, I stood on the deck of a research vessel, watching the sun rise over the Pacific. Mia and Miss Thompson had flown out to visit, and Mom was due to arrive next week. As I looked out at the endless horizon, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. It hadn't been easy, but I'd made it. I've proven Richard wrong, but more importantly, I've proven myself right. Hey Sarah, one of my colleagues called out. We've got some interesting data from last night's dive. Want to take a look? I grinned, turning away from the railing. Absolutely, I replied. Let's see what we discovered. As I headed back inside, a sense of peace washed over me. This was where I belonged. This was the future Dad had always seen for me, the one I'd fought so hard to achieve. And it was beautiful. Settling into my new life as a marine biologist, I found myself thriving in ways I never imagined. My research on coral reef conservation gained international attention, leading to speaking engagements at conferences around the world. Mom visited often, proud of the woman I'd become. She found happiness too, rediscovering her passion for painting and even opening a small gallery in our hometown. Mia and I remained close despite the distance, and she became a successful journalist, often joking that she'd write my biography someday. Miss Thompson had retired from counseling but stayed in touch, always eager to hear about my latest adventures. The story has now concluded. What would you have done in Sarah's position when Richard called asking for help? Would you have forgiven him and offered assistance, or maintained your boundaries as Sarah did? Your experiences and perspectives matter, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us.